Hello everyone. Welcome to today's workshop in which we'll be discussing about law optional preparation. Let's begin. I am originally from Bihar, currently based out of Delhi. Let us see in today's workshop, where do we have participants from? We have from Bokaro, Kerala, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Imphal, Begusarai. Good to see that you are able to attend this workshop from the comfort of your homes. That is precisely the main advantage of an online course, right? So we are going to cover most of the aspects related to law optional preparation in today's workshop. And whatever doubts you have, the chat box is going to be the communication mode. Okay, so please feel free to write all your questions in the chat box. I'll try my best to address all of them. So first things first, let's just see what all are we going to discuss in today's workshop. We'll first try to understand the role of the optional subject in this entire preparation phase. Okay, so yes, we are all trying to prepare for civil services examination. We all aspire to clear this examination with flying colors, but we need to make the right choices over here. Okay, so that this journey of ours is that much more targeted, more focused, and it helps us in achieving our final goal. Right, so in that journey, the role of optional subject plays a very important role. Okay, so yes, we need to give this choice of optional subject at the time of filling of the form itself. So you need to make up your mind beforehand, before you fill the form. You also need to make up your mind beforehand so that you can start the preparation on time. You can refer to the relevant sources on time. You can join any courses on time, right? So all of this needs a lot of preparatory work beforehand. And at every stage, you will be required to take a lot of important decisions. One of the most important decisions is going to be the optional subject that you will choose. We will be discussing that in a bit more detail. But first, let's complete this overview. Second is, why should we choose law optional? Okay, so yes, after having discussed the importance of all of the choice of optional subject, I'm going to discuss what are the advantages of law optional as an optional subject. How is it going to help you in your journey of your preparation, and then finally in the achievement of the goal of clearing the civil services examination. Next, of course, the most common question that must be in all of your minds, that how do you prepare for law option? Let's say even if you decide to take up law as an optional subject, what is the mode of preparation? What kind of sources are available? What should be the preparation strategy? How much time should you devote to the optional subject? All right, so the strategy will be discussed in detail in this portion, how to prepare for law optional. Then we have certain benefits of the law foundation course that is offered by Chrysalis Ias. Okay, so yes, whatever strategy we are going to tell you about in this third point, how to prepare law optional, this law foundation course has been designed keeping in mind this strategy, right? So yes, all these points need to be checked off the list when we are discussing benefits of our law foundation course. And then lastly, we'll again give you an overview of the entire discussion of the workshop so that it helps you in making an informed decision towards the end. Fine. What exactly is the role of the optional subject in this exam? So here we are seeing that be it your prelim stage, be it your main stage or your personality test stage, UPSC doesn't give you a lot of choice, right? It's the same question paper for all aspirants, the same difficulty level for all aspirants. But here is one place where you can get the choice of choosing an optional subject based on whatever merits and demerits, whatever advantages, disadvantages you could figure out at the time of making of that choice, right? So yes, we know that this is the format. We have a prelims, okay, which is of the objective type. We have the mains, which is of the subjective type, and the personality test, which is of the interview mode. All right, so here we have two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. You cleared the stage, you move on to the main stage. Over here, you have 7 papers, right? I'm including the essay over here. So there's one of essay, there are 4 GS papers, and then the 2 optional papers. And all these 7 papers are of 250 marks each, right? 250 into 7, we have a total of 1750 in just the written part of the exam. And then a personality test of 275 marks. Okay, so if you add 1750 to 275, we have a total of 2025. This is the final tally. Now, out of this, we are seeing that these are your 2 optional papers, right? Optional papers of 250 marks each. So basically 500 marks out of these 2025 marks are devoted solely to the optional subject that you are choosing. All right, what do you think is the weightage of the optional papers against the entire tally of 2025? It is close to 25%. Okay, so the choice related to 25% of the entire marks is solely at the initial stage itself. Before you even begin the preparation, you have to make a choice of the right optional subject. And now we're talking about a weightage. Let's just give you a deeper insight into this particular weightage. Up till this point, we were talking about a 25% weightage. What if I tell you the weightage of the optional subject is even more than 25%? You may ask, ma'am, how? Now, please pay close attention. This is where the things get interesting. This is what most of you would not know, especially if you are freshers to preparation. Okay, so when we are talking about these GS papers, the 4 GS papers, okay, as well as the essay paper. So basically, when we are talking about any other written paper apart from the 500 marks of the optional, we see that all of them have a score of 40 to 45%. What I'm trying to say is, if you look at the scores of the successful candidates, if you look at paper-wise scores, you'll notice that your GS papers usually get a score of 40 to 45%. Now, if you compare this percentage with the kind of scores that you get in your optional papers, scores close to 300 are very common in your optional papers. I'm talking about successful candidates. I'm not talking about every aspirant who writes the mains exam. I'm talking about successful candidates, whose names are featuring in the final list, right? So there you can see that a lot of them score in the range of 290 to 310. Okay, that's why I'm taking an average of 300. 300 out of your 500. So basically this is what? 60%. Right? So 40 to 45% kind of score versus a 60% kind of score in each of these papers, which are of 250 marks each. Right? So we're talking about 4 GS papers. We're also talking about your essay papers, entire tally, etc., etc. Let's not go into too many numbers right now. We were coming back to the main point. Main point was that the weightage of the optional subjects is even more than 25%. Because if you look at the final score that the successful candidates get, okay, so if you happen to go through the list, I'm sure that is available in the public domain. Please try to look for those lists. I'm just trying to analyze this for your benefit. Okay, so a score of 1000 plus minus 50, okay, that is what most of the successful candidates get. I'm taking a score of 1000 as an average. It might be more in some particular years, it might be lesser than this also in some particular years. But just for easy calculation, we are taking an average score of 1000, where you're saying that 300 in your optional papers is commonly achievable. Okay, so 300 out of your 1000. Basically, you're scoring 300 out of your entire score solely from 2 papers. Which 2 papers? Your optional papers. Okay, please mind it that this particular score of 1000 includes even your interview score. I'm looking at the final scores of the successful candidates, which are in the range of 1000 plus minus 50. Okay, this is inclusive of the interview score. And out of this, 300 marks you are getting just from the 2 papers of optional subject. I hope this gives you a broad idea of how important it is to score in your optional subject. And in order to score well in an optional subject, you need to make the right choice right at the beginning. Okay, so that you can accordingly prepare for it, accordingly you can strategize for it. Okay, so yes, you have a time crunch also. Time is a very scarce resource when it comes to civil services preparation. So you would want to choose an optional where you are able to complete your entire optional preparation within a time bound, in a time bound manner, and then for the rest of the time you are able to devote all of it to the GS preparation. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that choice of optional subject is very, very important. Just asking you a quick question. Was this entire calculation, was this entire analysis clear to all of you? Do you have any kind of doubts with respect to the weightage of the optional papers in your overall scores? Are you all now convinced that close to 30% of the final score is directly achievable through the 2 papers of your optional subject? Is this clear to all of you? Of course, we know that marks count. Of course, we know that at every 5 marks, at every 10 marks, there's a huge gap of scores, there's a huge gap of ranks, there's a huge difference that can be made. Okay, so this importance of even the small increment in your scores can be a deal maker or a deal breaker. Okay, so why are we calling it a deal maker or a deal breaker? Because it can be the difference between you getting an interview call or not, the difference between you making it to the final list or not. Let's suppose you even make it to the final list, whether you got your dream service or not. Okay, and let's say even when you've got your dream service, let's say you've got the Indian Administrative Service, you've got the Indian Police Service, have you got your dream cadre or not? We're talking in terms of home cadre preferences, etc. All right, so marks count at every stage. And yes, you would want to make the right choice, you would want to score as much as possible, and the right choice of the optional subject is going to help you immensely in this journey. All right, now let's talk about law optional in particular. Of course, this workshop is all about law optional. So how exactly would law optional be a good choice? On what parameters am I suggesting to you that you should take up law optional as your optional subject? So let's discuss some of the advantages of law optional as a subject. First one, we're talking about the nature of the subject. So what exactly are we focusing on when we talk about the nature of the subject? We are talking about, right? So this is a phrase I'm sure all of you have heard about it. Okay, law is nothing but common sense. And what is common sense? Basically, whatever is going on around you, you try to apply your mind to it, you apply your logic to it, all right? And if it makes sense to you, if it seems logical to you, then you arrive at an inference, you arrive at a conclusion. Okay, so law is all about applying those kind of rationals, that kind of logic to everything around you in order to be able to come to the right type of conclusions. Right, so please understand that whatever image you had about law as a subject from beforehand, okay, it might seem to be very, very overwhelming at times, especially if you look at the syllabus, if you look at the kind of sources that are available in the market, etc., etc. It might seem overwhelming to you. But let's begin at the core of the subject. The core lies in the point that law is nothing but common sense. And yes, Because we are saying that it's common sense, it is commonly available with all of us. Okay, and that doesn't need to be emphasized enough. Yes, that is something which all of us can agree to. It is fairly easy to understand. Okay, so it is easy on your mind. And when we're talking about it being easy to understand, it also depends on how you are preparing for this particular subject, which kind of sources are you referring to, how are you trying to understand a core concept. Okay, so things can get very, very complicated if you are looking at some complicated sources, but at the same time, it is also possible to understand the same type of concepts in a very simple manner, in a very, very lucid manner. Okay, so if this lucid or simple manner is the approach that you choose, then you will definitely have a much greater clarity of the concepts and it will be much easier to understand. Right? So I'm talking about some inherent qualities of the subject. I'm talking about qualities of law as a subject, that yes, it is fairly easy to understand. It has a very great overlap with your GS syllabus. Now, this is something which all of you really contest. You're not convinced enough. How is that overlap? Okay, so let's just discuss it. So out of your GS papers, of course, the most significant overlap is with your GS2 paper, right? So GS2, we have the polity and governance part. Okay, so yes, polity has a very big overlap with constitutional law, which is a part of our law 1 paper syllabus. I don't even want to go into the details of how much of the overlap is there. It is significant. You can say that close to 90% of your polity syllabus is automatically going to be covered if you are preparing constitutional law thoroughly. Okay, so you are saving a lot of time whenever there is a significant overlap with the syllabus topics. This time which you save, you can contribute all that time to your other topics. Topics where, let's say, you are scared of those topics, topics which are new to you, topics which you do not have good sources for, where you have not been able to get good guidance. So you have to dedicate extra time to those topics. Right, so time, as we said, time is a very scarce resource, and whatever time you can save at whichever place, you would definitely want to do that. Right, so the most significant overlap we said was in terms of your polity and governance portion of GS2 paper. We're also talking about your international relations part of GS2. Okay, so your international relations also, whatever answers you're trying to give, whatever insights you're trying to give, you will make references to particular points of international law. Okay, you will talk about human rights, you will talk about environmental law. Okay, you will talk about issues like extradition and asylum, etc., etc. Okay, so yes, there are people who have heard about these terms, but a law aspirant, okay, because of the depth in which you prepare these topics, you will have a much more clarity, okay, and you will know in what all contexts, multiple contexts in which you can use this particular topic or content related to this topic in your GS answers. All right, so the value addition part of your GS answers gets enhanced tremendously. Okay, yes, I know that all of you are always on the lookout for some value addition material. Okay, so instead of trying to look at some new sources or some new articles that are available on that topic, how about using your optional knowledge to the optional knowledge, and you can leverage that advantage even in your GS papers. Okay, so yes, GS2 has the biggest overlap in terms of law syllabus and GS2 topic syllabus. We are also talking about, let's say, GS3. Okay, so GS3 also we have topics of environment, we have topics of disaster management, we have topics of internal security, etc. Okay, where there are indirect linkages, where you can use certain legal terminologies that you have prepared for your law optional paper, and improve the quality of your answers when you are attempting the GS paper. You talk about the science and tech portion of GST paper. Science and tech again has a direct linkage in terms of intellectual property rights. We know that this is part of our law syllabus, law 2 paper. So yes, patents, trademarks, copyrights. We go into a lot of depth when you read about these concepts. And with that clarity, if you attempt any answer on, let's say, IPR in your GS papers, you are bound to increase your score at least by 10 to 20%. Fine. Let's also look at some of the other papers. Talk about GS1. Now you must be asking, ma'am, how can there be any overlap between GS1 syllabus topics and law topics? There is this portion of society related topics, right? Society related topics in your GS1 paper. Now in these society related topics, whenever you're attempting an answer, you're supposed to discuss about certain legal mechanisms that are available or missing, right? So you would suggest if they are missing, and if they are available, you need to point them out in your answers. Okay, legal mechanisms. Also, certain steps that need to be taken or have already been taken by the state. Okay, and all these aspects can be found in your law optional papers as well. So I'm not saying that there is a direct linkage. You cannot write a society answer without, of course, the sociological aspects. But broadly speaking, if the main body consists of 60% to 70% of content based on sociological aspects, then you can improve the quality of the answer by including the legal aspects as well, okay, in the main body of the answer. And what will be the end result? The quality of your answer will improve tremendously. Lastly, we come to the GS4 paper. Now, what is the advantage when you prepare? What is the advantage that you get when you prepare for your law optional papers? Your mind is trained to think differently. Okay, we'll come to that point separately also. But since your mind gets trained to think differently, you are always on the lookout for solutions, sustainable solutions to every problem that you face. Okay, so your mind is always in the problem solving mode. You ask the questions, okay, you ask relevant questions. Why exactly is this in a particular manner? You try to apply the right type of rationale, okay, and then you try to find sustainable solutions to a problem. Fine. So in all of this, your ethics answers, okay, your ethics answers, which require you to look at a problem holistically. You want to look at a problem with the stakeholder approach, with this approach of inclusion. Okay, you want to look at the problems of each and every stakeholder and provide a sustainable solution to each of them. Fine. So in that process, your mind is already trained because of the law optional preparation, and accordingly, your answers, whatever you are writing in your ethics answers, be it a 10 marker answer or the case study answer, your answers are that much more nuanced. Okay, you're not just giving vague solutions to the problem at hand. You are giving very specific solutions, which is targeting a specific problem, which is giving a solution to a specific stakeholder. All right. So all of this is indirectly going to help you immensely in improving your scores in every answer of ethics. Okay. So just imagine that if you're able to improve the score by even half a mark, or let's say 1 mark in every answer, it automatically increases your cumulative score by more than 20 marks. Right. So this particular approach that you can have an incremental score in every answer, this approach is what you need to understand and believe in, that yes, this is what I am trained to do now, and accordingly I will be able to write better answers even in my ethics paper. The same approach applies to your essay paper as well. Okay, so again in essay also, instead of trying to give some vague solutions, or if you're trying to just abstractly discuss a concept, instead of doing that, how about talking about specific legal aspects, okay, specific legal principles, solutions that are available, solutions that can be provided from a legal angle. All of that makes your answers more convincing. Okay, so you got to leverage the advantages of law optional in every paper. It's not just that you'll improve your score in the 2 papers of law optional. You're going to improve your score in each and every GS paper as well as the essay paper. Okay, some idea is there with you now that yes, this is how I can improve my GS papers answers even by, let's say, half a mark or 1 mark. And we know that every mark counts. We know that any increment in the cumulative score is welcome. Next important point is that it has a finite and predominantly static syllabus. So what is the main advantage when it comes to this particular point? For any subject, let's say if you have to continuously keep updating the content, okay, and you have to always be on the lookout for fresh content, that particular subject automatically takes a lot of extra time to prepare. Even if, let's say, the syllabus topics would be finite, but the nature of the syllabus topics, if it is not of a static nature, rather of an ever evolving nature, then you will have to devote a lot of extra time on it, maybe on a regular basis, maybe at regular intervals. And if you do not do that, you'll always have that fear at the back of your mind that I have not updated myself enough. That is not the case with law optional. Okay, so if you have looked at any of the previous year's papers, please try and look at least not just one paper, please try and look at least 5 years of papers. Okay, and you yourself will be able to come to this conclusion that the kind of questions that UPSC likes to ask from the law syllabus, they are predominantly of a static nature and they're repetitive in nature. Okay, so you can clearly identify that which are these themes that UPSC is asking questions from repeatedly, and accordingly you can pay more attention on those, more attention to those important themes. All right, so this analysis of previous year's papers will help you in understanding the static nature and finite nature of the law syllabus. Next, we're trying to look at the scores that are achieved by the successful candidates irrespective of their background. Okay, so yes, it is a scoring optional not just for law background students but even for non-law background students. And we have had single digit rankers not just from law background but also non-law background. All right, you can also look at some of the UPSC annual reports, okay, and you will come to the same conclusion that people are able to achieve single digit ranks with law as an optional. It is a clear myth that law is not scoring. It is a clear myth that law has a very vast syllabus and even law students give up law as an optional subject, forget about non-law students trying to take it. No, rather it has been a common trend that when non-law students take law as an optional subject, they are able to fare even better than the law background students. Okay, and there's a clear logic to it. I'll just break it down for you. For example, let's say you have a non-law background and whatever is the syllabus that you are able to see in front of you, you try to prepare that based on some finite sources, right? So you jot down your sources, you clearly list out that this is what I will be reading and nothing more. Okay, and you pay a lot of focus, you dedicate yourself to preparing those topics from those sources, and you have multiple cycles of revision. Okay, so once you are able to hone your preparation from a particular source, you are able to definitely write better answers as well. Okay, instead what the law background students actually face the problem of, they face the problem that there's no dearth of sources, especially because you had referred to some of the bulky sources back in your college days. All right, so those college books, okay, those bulky books, let's name it MP Jain for constitutional law, Malcolm Shaw for international law, your Winfield for law of torts, okay, those are not the kind of books to be referred to for this particular exam. College was different. Okay, yes, you wanted to look at everything, you wanted to learn, you were inquisitive, you were in the formative years of your life. All of that played a very important role in the kind of books you wanted to read. But over here, you're not trying to become a legal expert by reading these books. Okay, rather, you want to score well in this particular paper, and for that, you need to consolidate your content, not increase your sources. And this is a very common problem with all the law background students, that they are not able to consolidate. Without consolidation, even if they had read so many books, even if they had dedicated so much time to law optional preparation, it doesn't convert itself into results. Why? Because the approach was faulty. All right, I'm not saying that you did not put in the requisite amount of hard work. I do not doubt it one bit. Definitely, all of you really want to clear this exam. All of you want to do all it takes to clear the exam. But one faulty approach can make a lot of difference in the final results. Coming back to this point, that yes, it is a scoring optional for law as well as non-law students, and scores between the range of 290 to 300 plus has been commonly seen in the law papers. Okay, if I want to give you a specific example, if you look at 2017 and 2018, so the 6th ranker as well as 8th ranker, both of them were from law optional in 2018. In 2017, the 9th ranker as well as the 14th ranker. Okay, so 6th ranker and 8th ranker in 2018, 9th ranker and 14th ranker in 2017, they were from law optional. And the interesting thing is that in 2018, the 6th ranker was from a non-law background. Similarly, in 2017, the 14th ranker was from a non-law background. Now, again, this is something which you can cross-verify. 6th ranker in 2018, Shubham Gupta. 14th ranker in 2017, Neha Jain. Okay. Economics background, medical background. They chose law optional and they scored really well in both their papers, and I'm sure it helped them immensely in reaching this kind of a rank. All right, so yes, you also need to make the right choices. Do not be scared of law optional. Be informed. Okay, and after being informed about all the relevant information, make those informed choices. My job over here is only to provide you with the information. The decision is always going to be yours. Since we are at this topic of scoring optional, I also want to point out that when we are talking about a very good score, it is not just a very good score in the 2 papers of law, rather it helps you in increasing your cumulative score in other GS papers as well as your essay paper. Okay, so be it a law background student or a non-law background student, all of them are able to cumulatively increase their scores, and it helps them reach the top ranks in the final list. Fine. Next, we have that it is a consistently well-performing optional. Okay, so if you look at the UPSC annual reports, you'll come to the conclusion that the average success rate in the last 5 to 6 years has been 13 to 13.8%. Average success rate of law optional. What am I talking about? I'm talking about average success rate. What do you mean by success rate? Success rate is basically how many students actually wrote the mains exam with law optional and how many of them actually made it to the final list. Okay, so what percentage of those students finally made it to the list of successful candidates? So law has one of the highest success rates, okay, 13.8%, and we're talking about an average of the last 5 to 6 years. So this is a consistently well performing option. These figures are available for all of you to see. Please refer to UPSC annual reports that are available on the UPSC website. You will yourself be able to come to the same conclusion. What I'll do is I'll also attach the links over here so that you can open the PDFs on your own and see the reports for yourself. Now, when I'm telling you that it has a very good success rate, we're saying that it has a success rate of 13.8%. Let me give you a quick comparison of law with your other optional subjects. So I was telling you that law has 13.8%. Let's compare it with other optionals where 100 or more students had appeared for it. So we're not trying to compare it with some literature papers or some extremely technical papers. We're trying to compare it with other popular optionals where 100 or more students have chosen that particular subject. Okay, so you can see that amongst all of them, medical science seems to be the subject where 100 plus students have opted for it, and it has a very high success rate. Medical science. Now, if you want to compare these two subjects, law and medical science, do all background students have the option of choosing medical science as an optional subject? Clearly not. Okay, medical background students can only take up medical science as their optional subject. And at the same time, it is very difficult to finish any other syllabus topic or any other optional subject syllabus in a finite time of 4.5 months. We're talking about the success rate, where the success rate of law is significantly higher. The only other subject which has a higher success rate than law is that of medical science, but that is not an option that is available to all of you. But law is definitely an option that is available to you. And let's look at the success rates of, let's say, the other popular optionals. What are some of the other popular optionals? There's history, there's PubAd, there's geography, there's pol science, there is sociology. History has the average success rate of 5.9%, PubAd a 7.4%, geography, which is by far the most popular optional subject. Okay, I'm giving you all the facts over here. Yes, these are very, very popular optional subjects, and out of these, geography is the most popular. Okay, close to 2,000 plus students actually end up writing mains with geography as an optional subject. So yes, geography is a popular optional, but the success rate is that of 5.5%. Then we have pol science, 7.8%, and sociology, a 9.8%. Okay, again, these are all data. This is data which I have taken out from UPSC annual reports. Have a closer look at that also. Okay, it can actually help you in making the choice faster and making the correct choice. Now, I understand that most of you from the non-law background, okay, most of you are from engineering backgrounds, okay, engineering or other technical courses background. Now, what kind of options do you have available in front of you? You have the option of taking any technical subject as the optional subject. So your engineering or technical subject, optional subject, has a success rate of 8 to 9%, which is not bad. Okay, I would not say that it's a bad percentage. It is a very good percentage, but many of you decide not to take up your engineering subjects. Rather, you go for these humanities subjects. Okay, and why? What is the main reason? Most of you are guided by emotions. Most of you think that because it is a popular optional subject, let me go for it. Okay, because many others people are taking it, or let's say your friends. Okay, most of my friends have decided to go for the humanities subjects. Let me also make the same decision. So that's why I want you to warn you right over here. Please do not get swayed by emotions when it comes to such important decisions for your preparation. Okay, so what are you doing? You were already having the advantage of an 8 to 9% success rate with respect to your engineering subjects. Now, instead of relying on this 8 to 9%, you went to choose a particular humanities subject with an even lower success rate. Okay, so from 8 to 9%, you came down to 6 to 7%. Okay, so how do you make that choice? I mean, please ask that question to yourself. How are most of the engineers making this choice? It's because they're not making the decisions based on objective data. Okay, they're not being guided by the right kind of parameters, by the right kind of factors. They are getting swayed by emotions or the so-called popular choices that are available in the market. Okay, so instead of your 8 to 9%, you are reducing your chances to 6 to 7%. And what am I asking you to do? Let's suppose any of you is from the engineering background. I am asking you to make a choice of law as the optional subject. Okay, so compare your 6 to 7% success rate with the 13.8 or let's say 14% success rate. Okay, so from your 8 to 9%, which you are somehow not inclined to take up, okay, you are not inclined to take up your engineering subjects for whatever reasons, you are instead trying to make the popular choice by choosing any of these popular humanities optional subjects and reducing your success rate even further to 6 to 7%. And what I am trying to show it to you is that instead of a 6 to 7%, you can move to a much higher probability of 13.8 to 14% probability of clearing the exam. Okay, so 14% of all students who write mains with law as an optional subject finally make it to the list, and every year you can see there are so many of them in the top ranks. Now you might think that law is not a popular optional subject. Yes, it is not a popular optional subject because of the myths that surround it. Okay, and that is what I'm trying to do in this workshop. Bust those myths. I'm trying to show it to you how it is so much simpler than what it is portrayed or what many people perceive it as based on whatever existing knowledge they had. I am trying to put in front of you all the information that will help you in making the right choices. You are smart already. Okay, you will be making the smart choices. Even if you don't go ahead with law optional, even if you let's say choose law optional but don't go ahead with our course at Chrysalis Ias, but I want you to at least make the right choice by looking at all the factors at hand. All right, so we've done this comparison with other optionals. I hope this has helped you in figuring out that which optional is popular for what kind of reasons and what is the actual success rate. Okay, so there can be many factors for choosing a particular optional subject, but do you want to reduce your chances or do you want to increase your chances? Okay, anyway, we say that the civil services examination involves a degree of luck, right? It involves a high probability factor. Okay, probability of being able to get the right score, being able to attempt the right kind of questions, how you are feeling on that particular day also affects your answers. So there's a lot of subjectivity involved, there's a lot of probability involved, and this is the place where you would want to make the right choices based on objective data. A place where there is so much subjectivity involved, I am trying to help you to make an objective decision. All right, it has been the preferred choice for law background students, definitely. Okay, and those of you who let's say who have this doubt that should I take law as an optional subject or not, even after having done law from your 5 years integrated courses or your 3-year courses, if you still have a doubt, please understand that the problem is not in terms of what kind of subject it is for the exam. The problem is in your approach. The problem is in how you perceive the syllabus and the strategy of this particular paper. Okay, so I want to have a I want you to have a relook at the entire strategy for this law optional preparation, and also know that you will be making a big mistake in terms of losing out on the opportunity cost. Okay, so if you decide to not take up law and rather go for any other humanities subject, you are going to incur a very high opportunity cost, because you will be spending at least 1.5 to 2 months in simply understanding the basics, okay, basic concepts related to that particular optional subject. Whereas over here, you just need to ensure that you are able to consolidate what you have already tried to figure out on your own. Fine. It is also a preferred choice for the non-law background students for all the reasons that we just discussed before this. Okay, you are there to work hard. I am there to provide you the right guidance. A combination of hard work plus the right guidance will definitely lead you to achievement of your final goal. Fine. I'm not sure if this particular chart is visible to all of you, but what I wanted to show to you was the consistently well performing percentages, the average success rates of law as an optional. What I'll do is I will be sharing a screenshot of this for you for your purposes, but right now just know that yes, this is also a piece of data which has been taken from the UPSC annual reports. You can see the source over here. UPSC annual reports has done a comparison of all the optional subjects, and at the end of every column you can see there is the average success rate that is mentioned here. So you for yourself can see what is the average success rate of the various optional subjects and how law is the one with the highest success rate in terms of the non-technical subjects. Okay, and of course the subjects where more than 100 students choose the optional subject. We will now next move on to the most important part of this particular workshop, that is how to prepare for law optional. Now, if I want to solely dedicate a workshop to this particular topic, that in itself can go on for hours. But what I'll try to do over here is give you a summarized approach. Okay, that yes, these are the steps that you need to follow, and if you're able to follow it even to some degree, if you are working diligently on all these steps, then be assured that you will be on the right path. Okay, so first things first, how do we prepare for law optional? We need to first understand the syllabus. Okay, so when we're talking about syllabus, not every syllabus topic in every paper has the same kind of weightage. Okay, and this is something which I cannot emphasize enough. If you are going to prepare for an examination, and if it is this final score that is going to determine whether or not you will clear that examination, then your efforts need to be driven towards achieving that kind of score. Okay, you are not here to mechanically complete the syllabus. Not every syllabus topic needs to be gone into as much detail. Rather, you need to first understand which are the most important aspects, which are the most important themes inside those syllabus topics, and prepare them thoroughly before moving on to the not so important topics. Okay, so how do you understand the syllabus? How do you understand which are those important syllabus topics or the important trends, etc.? You've got to analyze the previous year's questions. Okay, so if you look at the previous year's questions, I'm not telling you to look at 10 to 15 years of questions. Even if you look at just last 5 years of papers, law 1 as well as law 2, you will be able to get at least some idea about the trends that are followed. Okay, when it comes to your law 1 paper, constitutional law, okay, constitutional law has around 20 syllabus topics, 19 to 20 syllabus topics, but not all of them are of equal importance. Fine. Similarly, for your international law, 15 syllabus topics, but not all of them are equally important. Let's talk about constitutional law. anyone who has even a vague idea of law as a subject, they all know that fundamental rights is the most important topic, be it at your college level, be it over here for civil services examination, or even let's say out there when you're going to practice law. Fundamental rights is a very important portion of the entire constitutional law syllabus. Now, you cannot think that just because it is one syllabus topic, you cannot summarily or superficially cover that topic. You've got to go into the details. You've got to cover that in much more depth as compared to, let's say, a particular topic like ombudsman, okay, Lokpal, Lokayukta, right? So there, just one page worth of content on a topic like ombudsman, Lokpal, Lokayukta would be sufficient. And compare that with your fundamental rights, that is definitely not going to be sufficient. It's going to make a mockery out of it if you tell someone that I have completed the entire fundamental rights just by reading one piece of paper. Okay, so you've got to understand these kind of differences between the various syllabus topics and the themes within those syllabus topics. Let's say even when you look at fundamental rights, not all fundamental rights are equally important. There's right to equality, there's right to life, okay, there's 14, 21, there's 19. These are some important articles that you have to go into much deeper knowledge, and you have to prepare it from various angles. You can be asked even something from, let's say, contemporary related topics. Okay, so you've got to be prepared holistically on those topics. Next, this identification of the important themes. This is going to be, of course, on the basis of your analysis of the previous year's questions. Okay, so once you identify the important themes, thereafter you can prioritize your preparation based on those important themes. Okay, I always tell the students, please do not try to mechanically complete the syllabus. That is not the final goal over here. Your goal is to score well in the paper. Okay, it might be that there is a particular syllabus topic which is asked, let's say, once in 10 years, or has not been asked even once till now. Yes, there are such syllabus topics. Okay, so you do not need to go into as much detail. You do not need to give so much time to it, not just at the stage of preparation, but also at every revision cycle. Okay, so time, I always tell you, time is scarce, and therefore you've got to be smart about utilization of your time at every stage. First stage of preparation, second stage of consolidation, third stage of revision. How much time are you providing to any specific theme or any specific syllabus topic? All of that needs to be based on this analysis and this identification of the important themes. Okay. Prioritize your preparation accordingly. And this is the most important tip. You need to read less and you need to write more. And what is it that most students do? It's just the opposite of this. They keep reading and they do not write at all. Or even if they decide to write full length mock tests directly. Okay, that is like making a quantum jump when you're not even prepared to land safely. Okay, so here when I say that read less and write more, here you need to first learn how to write good answers. Okay, you need to practice it. You need to write the right answers on the right type of questions. I'm talking about writing answers on right questions. What are these right type of questions? These are questions from the previous year's papers. Okay, so from the previous year's papers, please identify which are those questions which are repeatedly being asked by UPSC. Okay, and after having prepared that topic, you've got to learn how to write a good answer with concise yet relevant pieces of information throughout your answers. You get what, 2 pages to write an answer. A 10 marker has to be written comprehensively within 2 pages. You get 4 pages for your 20 marker, but let's take the example of 10 marker, which is actually the biggest challenge. How do you confine all that knowledge that you have read in just 2 pages worth of space? Okay, and that is an art, that is a skill that you need to learn. It is not going to naturally come to you. You've got to invest a lot of time and effort into writing. Okay, and how are you going to find that time to write and practice and learn how to write good answers? You've got to read less. You've got to conclude that, okay, this is what my final list of sources looks like. This is what I'm going to refer to, and nothing beyond this. Okay, once you have finalized that list of sources, please stick to it. Please do not always be perpetually, do not be in the state of anxiety, and do not just keep looking out for more and more sources. Instead, keep asking yourselves the correct questions. Have I completed this one source thoroughly? Have I prepared my consolidated notes on this from this particular source? Will I be able to retain whatever I have studied from this particular source? Will I be able to write a good answer based on whatever content is there in this source alone? Okay, so these are the kind of questions that you need to keep asking yourself even before you look at, or even if you have any thought of trying to look at some other source for that same topic. Okay, so please confine your reading list and invest a lot of extra time in writing, learning, rewriting, and relearning. This is a continuous process. Please do not directly write mock papers. It's of no use. Okay, definitely mock papers need to be written. You need to learn some important skills such as time management, stress management, and space management. All of that will be done only when you write a full-length paper, a full-length mock paper. But before you do that exercise, you are supposed to learn how to write one single answer well. Okay, comprehensively. What all does it entail? Okay, how you're supposed to go about writing a very concise yet striking or a very relevant introduction. Same goes for conclusion. Then in your main body, what is it that you need to explain in what amount of detail? How do you ensure that whatever you are writing is presented well, so that it is clearly visible to the examiner when he is evaluating your papers? A lot of skills need to be learned for the answer writing purpose, and all those skills take time. You need to work on those skills. All right, please take this particular tip very, very seriously. I'm sure I'm not the first one telling you about it, but if at all if you are serious about clearing this exam, this is what should be your mantra. Okay, you cannot afford to skip this portion of writing answers. You cannot just procrastinate it and keep leaving it for another time or just before the main examination. It's not going to be possible. You already are under so much of stress at that stage. Okay, you've got to do it almost on an everyday basis so that you learn this art gradually and you're able to improve within time. All right, so there needs to be time for improvement as well. Even if you get to know your faults in your final mock tests just before the main exam, how will you check whether whatever you have learned, you're being able to implement it the right way or not? So all of this takes time. So please take this very seriously. Okay, coming to our law foundation course. Having discussed the law preparation strategy, let's see how we have designed this particular law foundation course in order to help you chart this particular strategy or the course of preparation in the most comfortable manner yet a smart manner. Okay, so here we have online classes. I understand that not all of you can come over to Delhi and attend classes. Okay, not all of you can go to the nearest metro city that you have from your hometown and attend classes there. It involves a lot of unnecessary expenditure. It involves a lot of unnecessary stress, trauma, living away from parents, managing food, managing rent, all sorts of other issues. Okay, having the option of preparing from home, okay, that option is available in terms of online classes, but we understand that online classes also have some inherent problems such as we do not have that kind of connection with the teacher. I myself, being a teacher, I faced a lot of problem when I had to shift from offline to online. Imagine speaking into a camera with no kind of interaction at all. Yes, this is a real problem, but every person has to overcome these challenges, overcome these problems to move forward. Okay, so for you, whatever is required from our end, we are trying our best to provide you with all the facilities of the offline classes. Okay, so we're not going to be physically present there with you while you are attending the lecture, but we will try our best to keep looking at the chat box. I'll try my best to address all your queries at that particular point of time itself. Okay, and once you are done with that day's course, or once you are done with that day's classes, even at the end of the lecture, there will be a question answer session. So if there's any student, if the doubts were not being able to be addressed in the main class, then you can ask that towards the end of the class as well. Okay, so there are a lot of benefits of these online classes along with the benefits of the offline classes. So apart from this particular feature, we have lectures which are specially designed to meet the demands of UPSC. So we're not going to make you mechanically cover the syllabus. Okay, we are not here to provide you with guidance on completing a law exam. It's not a law degree exam. Rather, what you're trying to clear over here is civil services examination and whatever is required. Okay, whatever are the specific requirements of this particular examination, this is what we'll be working on. So that means your course material, your online classes, everything has been designed in a manner that you get an edge over whatever is already available with you in terms of sources, etc. But at the same time, you are not having to spend so much extra time reading from any bulky sources or having to figure out your doubts from the internet or from just collecting all of them to be asked at a later point from someone else. No, all of that will be resolved during the course itself, on the same day as well. That is an option. Or if you want, you can even schedule a doubt clearance session with me and your doubts will be resolved in that session. All right. The lectures are self-sufficient. They have a complete module in themselves. Then answer writing plus class test. So after every class, okay, there will be a discussion on one particular question from that topic. So whatever was the topic of the day, I'll pick out the previous year's question from that topic and I'll discuss an answer framework for that. That this is how you're supposed to go about it. This is what we studied today. Out of all this extra content, what is the most important piece of content that you're supposed to incorporate in your answers? Okay, so what are you going to write for the introduction? What are you going to write in the main body? What are you going to explain in detail? What is it that you do not need to explain in detail? Okay, and then finally, how are you going to conclude your answer? And all throughout, we'll be discussing, let's say if the same framework has to be used for writing a 10 marker, then what is it that you will be compressing? Then let's say the same framework has to be used for writing a 20 marker. Then which are those aspects that you will need to expand on even further? Okay, and how will you expand on it? So these are certain aspects that we will be discussing towards the end of every lecture. And then you'll get that question for the day. You will be asked to write an answer on it, upload your answers on the student portal, and I will be evaluating them. You will be getting feedback on your regular answers. So this is what I was talking about, answer writing on an everyday basis. This is going to help you in learning the skill of answer writing, and also it will give you the confidence that is required to finally attend a full test on that particular subject. Okay, so we have class tests also. Class tests, let's say once the entire syllabus of law of torts is over, there will be a test of law of torts. But before you write a full-length test on law of torts, you have already prepared yourself by writing individual answers on the most important themes. Okay, so with that, exercise having been done, okay, you are coming to write the test with a much higher level of confidence, with a much higher level of preparedness. It's not just that you have prepared what all has to be written in an answer, but also how it needs to be written and how you will be able to fit it into 2 pages or 3 pages or 4 pages within the time frame, right? So these answer frameworks that I was referring to, that I'll be discussing at the end of every lecture, these answer frameworks are going to be the key. They are actually the foundation, okay, that you need to work on, based on which your subsequent revision cycles or even your penultimate revision cycle just before the main examination, all of that is going to depend on these answer frameworks alone. Right? So when I tell you that, yes, you've got to consolidate, okay, many people have a different idea about consolidation. Many of you think that just making a summary of whatever content is available in this form of study material, that summary in itself is consolidation. No, it is not. I am not asking you to make a summary version of the detailed study material. I am asking you to make notes from the answer writing point of view. Okay, only those kind of themes which are asked by UPSC, those need to be focused upon. Those need to be kept ready in terms of answer frameworks of various variations. Okay, what all kinds of questions can be asked from this particular topic? You have answer frameworks ready for each of them. And once that kind of preparatory work has been done beforehand, that is like during the course of this 4.5 months itself, then in your subsequent revision cycles, you will not have the burden of going through the entire study material all over again. Okay, imagine having your entire law of thoughts content in the form of answer frameworks, okay, and in just 9 to 10 pages. So the amount of time that you will be taking to revise that, revise those 9 to 10 pages, and also the number of multiple revision cycles you will be able to make, because you have these consolidated notes in the form of answer frameworks. So instead of having weeks and weeks of targets just to complete, let's say, law of thoughts or constitutional law, you will have a daily target, or at max 2 to 3 days of target. But yes, within the next 2 days, I will be completing this entire subject. I'll be revising it from the answer frameworks. And once it is done, once the revision cycle is done, your retention capacity also improves tremendously. Okay, retention improves, confidence level improves, your answer writing skills improve. Everything is just on an improvement path. You're getting it, right? Your chart, the trajectory that you are trying to chart is definitely on an upward trajectory. Please try and understand the importance of these particular aspects that I'm discussing over here. This is not going to teach you how to just make any other type of notes. I'm talking about consolidation. I'm dead serious about consolidation. I'm going to handhold you to make the right kind of notes for consolidation. Okay, and that would be from an answer writing point of view. Fine. Of course, there will be some doubt clearance and feedback sessions. Okay, whatever questions you have during the lecture, you can ask during the class itself in the chat box. If while doing any self-study you were facing any other kind of doubts, you can collect those doubts. You can schedule a doubt clearance session with me, and let's say over the phone, over a course of half an hour, we can clear all your doubts and you can be convinced and you can move ahead to the next syllabus topics. Okay. So what all did we discuss? Curated content is of key over here. All right. So I always tell that when it comes to the sources, please stay away from the bulky sources. But at the same time, I also tell you that please do not think that just a superficial completion of the syllabus from some guidebooks, etc., would serve the purpose. No, not every syllabus topic is the same. You will have to work on some specific syllabus topics a little more. You'll have to go deeper. You'll have to look at various other dimensions. Okay. And right. So we were talking about curated content. Curated content specifically for this particular exam is going to help you in a lot of saving of time which can be used for your GS preparation. Okay, so this particular curated content is going to be the key in ensuring that your preparation is on the right path, but at the same time, you're not spending any unnecessary time and effort on not so important aspects or areas. Okay, then answer writing is going to be a part of the course. So it is going to be an integrated preparation. You're not just preparing in terms of reading any content and understanding content. You're also writing answers on that topic that day itself. Okay, so your preparation is going to be in an integrated manner right till the very end. Fine. Next we have periodic tests. So once the entire subject is over, let's say law of torts is over, law of crimes is over, after the completion of every subject, there will be a class test on those particular syllabus topics. So those we call periodic tests or sectional tests. That is going to give you the feel of the actual final paper, just that the questions will be asked from one area only. Okay, so it will have the same pattern. It will be a 250 marks test paper. It will be on the same pattern as that of the UPSC's final paper, but the questions will be from one area only. And then we have personalized attention in terms of giving individual feedback to all of you for your periodic tests. So whatever evaluation is done, it's not just the evaluated script that you will receive. You will also be receiving a one-on-one feedback session for each of your tests, and your doubt clearance is also in a personalized manner. Okay, so combinedly, all of these features of our law optional foundation course is going to help you in ensuring that you are prepared in the real sense. Okay, the word preparation is also taken very lightly by many people, but if you want to actually say that yes, I have prepared my optional subject and I've put this entire mental load off me and I have so much time left for my GS preparation, all of that will be possible with this particular course. Lastly, I would just want to say that many of you would say that this is not something new, okay, or this is something which you feel that many other people also are telling you. I want to tell you that whatever strategy that we are following over here, and especially how to write answers with less number of words but more value added content, okay, and how to ensure that you are able to write answers in a way that will help you in scoring within the time frame, within the page limit, space limit, etc. All those are skills which no one taught me. Okay, you also know that there is a real dearth of good law optional mentors out there in the market. I figured it out on my own. I had to go through a lot of years of regret and a lot of years of failure after having finally figured out a way, finally figuring out that what exactly is important to score. I figured out my own manner of preparing this optional subject, especially focusing on the answer writing aspects. And that helped me in improving my scores, not just from 240s to 270s. I got a 303 in 2017. Okay, so yes, with the right kind of approach and the kind of effort and hard work that you are ready to put in, I'm sure you can even better my score of 303. It is possible. All right, so if you are on the right path right from the beginning, it is very much possible. And I hope with all this information that you were provided in this workshop, it helps you in making the right choice of the optional subject and also choosing the right course for law optional. This was all from my end. Are there any questions that you would like to ask? Please write them in the chat box. Okay, so there are students who are asking if I could go into a little bit more detail about the course. Okay, for that you can call us. Okay, you can call us on the number and we ensure that we'll give you a one-on-one mentorship as to how you can best utilize the features of this course. Okay, so this is a better way rather than having to discuss the detailed features over here. You can call me on this number. Next question is, what is the right time to start off the preparation and what all courses do you offer in this foundation? So this is a single law foundation course. It is a well integrated course, all encompassing kind of a course. Once you join this course, you would not need to take any other course for this particular subject. Okay, so it includes your optional lectures, it includes your study material, it includes your tests, and your online recorded lectures will be available to you all the way till mains 2023. This is an all-in-one kind of a course, and the right time to start your preparation, let's assume that you're preparing for 2023, the right time would be now. Okay, our course is starting from the 25th of this month. I would want you to take out time to look at the detailed features that is available on our website also, and make the decision in a timely manner so that you can start with the preparation right now. Within 4.5 months, you will be able to get over with your law optional preparation. And then after that, you will definitely need to dedicate all your time and effort to GS. Okay, GS in terms of some coverage of some main topics, and then focusing yourself entirely to prelims preparation. So during the during those months after the completion of our law foundation course, and when you are actually focusing on the GS aspects, then you will need to only revise. As I already discussed with you, you will be ready with all sorts of consolidated notes, answer frameworks, etc., ready for all important themes of the syllabus. Okay, so that is what you will be revising from at regular intervals. And then clearly after writing prelims, the week after your prelims examination, you will again be looking at those specific notes. Okay, I think the other questions are also on similar lines. Please visit our website page and you can check out the other features of the course. The course starts on the 25th. Ensure that you are able to join us and complete all the formalities beforehand so that you can follow the requirements. For example, writing of the test, accessing the study material from the student portal, etc., so that you can do all of that right from day one itself. Okay. All right, I'll be concluding this workshop now. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking out your time. I hope you could find value for your time that you gave for this particular workshop, and I hope it helps you in making the right choice for the optional subject. Thank you.